trained to be a teacher in a country with a huge educational crisis. It was in my third year in the university that I first heard that Nigeria has the highest number of children who do not go to school in the world. And this accounts for over 10 million children, who are mostly found in the villages. I grew up in the rural communities, and most of the time, children live through abuse and neglect, so much that they think it is a normal part of childhood. Take, for instance, Dada.
He had never been to school before, and he had no friends to play with. The only thing he did was follow this woman everywhere to clean public toilets and do other menial jobs. So he looked really dirty. I was drawn to him by his natural dreadlock, because when I was his age, I had the same kind of dreadlock. And coupled with that, he had beautiful, innocent eyes. So his grandmother told me a story, and it reminded me of my own childhood. I too lived with my grandmother, and we were poor. I was the youngest of the 7 children that she supported by selling moi moi, a kind of tasty bean cake, bread, and even kerosene. But I was lucky because I had the opportunity to go to school. So meeting Dada was one of the events that prompted me to start Love Letters Child Support Initiative. My friends and I were able to mobilize school supply for over 300 children. Additionally, we provided full scholarship for 36 of them. And guess what? Dada was my first child. But wait a minute. Is this really helping the children? As a teacher, I have an insider view to both public and private school systems in my country. When it comes to public schools, most teachers are demotivated because their salaries are not paid regularly. The classrooms are overcrowded and students are not really learning. They only memorize to pass exams. The system is based on roots learning, top-down teaching, and generalized curriculum that does not nurture individual capabilities. And on top of that, parents have to pay at least $14 every term for this. So many parents are left with no other alternative than the private schools, which charge higher fees, have better facilities, but on the average, the quality of education is almost as poor as the public schools. And of course, I'm not talking about the top private schools in Nigeria that charge about $5,000 every year. So my quest to make a difference was what brought me to Kanthari. And during my stay in Kanthari, I had the opportunity to visit several schools where I learned about different approaches and philosophies to education in India. This visit opened my eyes to the fact that learning can truly be fun. And you can achieve much better outcome with little investment. This kind of learning environments are missing in communities like mine. So I was so excited that I could not wait to go back home to test these ideas. So my plan is to start an organization called Bramble under Love Letters Initiative, where I will implement my learning within the context of Nigeria. So let me tell you about Bramble. Bramble is a thorny plant. I chose this name because it symbolized the life of children who are neglected, children who are orphaned, mostly from the rural parts of my country. Nobody wants to identify with them, and they are often seen as useless, just like this plant, which for a long, long time does not produce fruit. But brambles are resilient. After some time, it begins to blossom. With the right resources, you can begin to enjoy its many fruits. And most common are blackberries and raspberry. So now, who doesn't enjoy a good blackberry jam? So Bramble will create spaces where children will find their passion for learning through creative resources. We will tailor the learning experience based on the need of each child, and we will invest behind their natural curiosity. We have designed a self-learning curriculum, which includes project-based learning, and it's aimed to bring out creativity and critical thinking in every child. This curriculum will be supported by catalysts. We call our teachers catalysts, just like in Kanthari. And unlike conventional teachers, they will accelerate the learning process by allowing children to find answers and help to guide their inquisitiveness. We want to raise a generation of children who have confidence to solve problems and take up responsibilities. And Bramble will offer alternatives that parents in rural communities do not have today. My dream is to spark an educational revolution in Nigeria, starting from my network of educators. I hope that in a few years, I will be able to use the success of Bramble to showcase alternatives to the present approach to education. Because the immensity of Nigeria's educational crisis requires thousands of passionate educators to stand up and create their own versions of Bramble. And I'm going to support this by sharing my ideas and methods with them. Today, we risk losing a generation of millions of children to abject poverty and abuse. So this must and cannot wait. So imagine a Nigeria where this kind of learning spaces is popping up in the villages, places where children can truly realize their dreams. This is what I call the Bramble effect. As we all know, today our world faces several critical challenges. So how many of you will agree with me that protecting the environment is one of our critical challenges? Please raise your hand. How many of you will agree with me that religious extremism is one of our critical challenges? Please raise your hand. What about having effective democracy? So let me tell you, if we don't address our educational crisis, there's no hope that any of these crises is solvable. If we don't educate our children, there's no hope for the environment. There's no hope for peace or even democracy. So on this note, I invite you to join me as I address the educational crisis in Nigeria. Thank you.